From the 33 and a third Music Appreciation Center and Speakeasy located just north of Detroit, Michigan, it's episode 12 of the Infectious Groove podcast. My name is Russ, and this is going to be a little bit different and a kind of a special episode of the show. I'm going to set the table early and get some things in order for how this episode is going to go. We here are trying to do our best to follow the stay-at-home rules that are in place currently. Michelle and Kyle will not be on this episode. However, I do have some good news in that regard that I'm going to share. In the interest of full disclosure, I had already recorded a full episode regarding the scheduled topic for this week, which was music and film, TV, soundtracks, biopics, that type of thing. The idea being that I would at least get a full new episode out by Monday and move forward on my own until this current situation clears up. Having said that, yesterday afternoon I was able to do a little research and find a piece of equipment that will allow Michelle and Kyle to return remotely. So, good news for anybody missing Kyle and Michelle. Kyle over the last episode and both of them during this one. By the time we record the next episode, I will be able to bring them in remotely. As a side note to that, this will open up a whole new world for the show, and I will be able to bring in pretty much anybody remotely, which is going to be cool. We'll be able to have on all sorts of guests. I'm going to have artists that I'm going to reach out to and see if they want to do a little chin wag during this downtime. I would be more than happy to have listeners, friends, family, and anybody that takes time to listen to the show. I'd be more than happy to have on, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. As we work through how we were going to handle this, yesterday I asked my co-hosts, if I scrap that episode that I just recorded, what do I do for episode 12? What is it that I should talk about? Michelle responded immediately and said, you should talk about the healing power of music. So that's what I'm going to do. I put together some thoughts and some of my own personal experiences, and I'm going to share that with you guys here in a little bit. This seems like a very important and very relevant topic to me, so kind of hurt my heart a little bit to scrap the entire episode that I had already recorded, but I really would like to save that topic for next week when Kyle and Michelle return remotely. So this is probably going to be a little bit shorter than the average episode. This is certainly quite a bit shorter than than the normal opening to the show. I actually don't have, any jammy jams to share and whatnot, but I do have a way that's going to tie into the episode here in a second. So having said that, I'm going to take a quick break real quick because I don't want to take a break in the middle of the important thing, which I think is the main topic, the healing power of music. I'm going to take a quick break real quick so our ad can play, and then I'm going to get back into quite a few of my thoughts on music and how it can heal and help us, especially at the time that we're in now. So I appreciate everyone listening. Like I say, a little bit of down news with the fact that they can't join us this week, some good news in the fact that they're going to join us next week, and hopefully some things that I've jotted down and then I'm going to share might be able to help some folks out. So I'll be right back with you in just a minute. So I'm back after a quick break on this very unorthodox and a little bit special episode 12 of the Infectious Groove podcast, and as suggested by my co-host who will return next week, I'm going to talk a little bit about the healing power of music. Musicians and music can have an enormous impact on us. Negative, positive, memories, celebrations, grieving, everything in between. There's so many proven studies regarding how music has a profound impact on our ability to learn, grow, and most importantly, heal. Out of all the negatives that are going on with the world situation right now, one thing we have on our side is technology. We have access to tons of music at all times and immediately. Right on your phone, on your computer, through YouTube or whatever app, you have the ability to listen to pretty much any song that you want to immediately. And I'll get in a little bit later into how I think we can use that to bring ourselves more together. One way that I've been doing it and to try and bring people together, all of us feel like, what can I do right now? Like, what can I do to help? One thing that I've been doing through the use of technology and the ability to try and bring some people together is I've been doing live spins on Facebook on my personal page every Friday night. And it's been really cool. We have, of course, we run into the copyright issue where every 40 or 50 minutes of the stream will get ended because we're playing copyrighted music. But what I usually do before the world changed most recently was I would have people over to my house every Friday night. We'd all sit around a table. People would get up and dig through the record bins. They'd come back, pull their requests. I'd play some stuff I love, play some things they requested. People would bring over their own records. And generally, we would do this for 5 or 6 hours every Friday night here in person. Since we can't do that anymore, I've kind of moved it over to Facebook. And to be honest, it's expanded a little bit and been as much or more fun in a way. What I've basically been doing, again, through technology, throwing up a Facebook live stream, blasting the music right here. I throw up a link to a spreadsheet with my record collection, and people virtually dig through the record bins, if you will, and throw out their requests. And then I play things maybe they haven't heard, and they request things I haven't heard in a long time. And it's really been a big feeling of togetherness that we've been able to achieve, even though everyone is apart. And people near and far have been able to be involved in it. We've had folks from both coasts, several different countries join in. It's been a joy for me to see maybe some high school friends who haven't seen each other in a long time say, oh, you're here, or you're here, because they've moved across the country from each other. Even close friends in the last decade or so have lost touch for one reason or another, say, oh, you're here, and we play songs that they love and songs they remember and memories, and really spread the joy in the only way that we can. So I've never been a person to have a whole lot of friends on Facebook. I generally keep a very, very low number of Facebook friends for one reason or another, but I do want to extend an invite to anyone who listens to this show. By all means, you're more than welcome to find me on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/RussTCB as my personal page. Shoot me a friend request. Maybe shoot me a quick note just saying, hey, I listened to the show and I'd like to be added onto the page so I can join into the record spins. And then we'll be doing it every Friday night. Like I say, due to the copyright situation, we always have to restart the feed. But when we do, everybody just moves over to the new one and we kick right back in. And we've been able to give everybody at least, 4 or 5 hours on a Friday night of, if nothing else, just taking your mind off of the situation and listening to songs and chatting with everybody else and just having a good time. And I feel like that's what I can do to help. If I can give 5, 10, 15, 20 people a bit of a reprieve and a way for them to forget what's going on for a little while on a Friday night, I'm more than happy to do that through the power of music. So if you listen to the show and you want to join in on that, by all means. Nothing to do with wanting a large number of Facebook friends. I generally keep a very low number. This is something I'm just extending the invite to our listeners if you'd like to be involved in that, and we can all have ourselves a little weekly get down until we get through this whole situation. So I want to open up a little bit and talk some about my own personal experiences with a couple of things that have happened in my life and how music has got me through it. I want to speak about two of the biggest impacts on my life as far as artists who were a big part of my life and then passed away, but some of the joy that I was able to bring out of that situation due to their music. One of which would, of course, be the day that Michael Jackson passed away. For those who know me personally, to say that that was a devastating day to me would be an understatement. And, again, instead of focusing on the negative and the unfortunate that happened that day, I want to focus on a couple of memories that I have that were very, very positive, and two things that I carry with me from that day. My son was only 4 years old, and I don't think that he'd ever experienced at the time anything like what he was seeing from me, because I really was just devastated and at some points crying uncontrollably and trying to do my best to get through that day. And on all media outlets, they had Michael Jackson, and MTV and VH1 had gone to playing all of his videos. And my son and I were sitting on the couch together watching some Michael videos. And again, sometimes I'd smile, sometimes I'd cry. One of my favorite memories of that day is my 4-year-old son at the time leaning over and rubbing on my back, and he really didn't say anything for a little bit, but it was very, very touching to see that in his own little way, that was the only way that he could think to comfort me. And then my favorite part of it was he had said to me, was Michael Jackson a friend of yours, Daddy? Because he could see the hurt. And I don't think he'd ever seen anything like that up till that point. And I really thought about it. And in many ways, as I said before, these musicians have such an impact on us. In many ways, that's the feeling. It's the feeling of a friend passing away. But my son being so intuitive and his instincts working in that way at such a young age was something that really is a good takeaway that day. Another thing that happened that was wonderful that evening was, of course, we continued to share Michael's music. And at one point we moved to the back porch, and so people could, smoke, and we were hanging out outside as it was June and it's warm here around that time. And we had Michael's music blasting from outside the house. And at one point I thought I could hear something coming from elsewhere. So I said, hold on a minute. So I went in and I paused the music, and we could hear at least 2 or 3 other houses in the neighborhood that were blasting his music at the same time. And that's another wonderful memory that I have from a really devastating day for me that came through the music. And it's two of the things that I choose to focus on from that day. Another heartbreaking day would have been the day that Prince passed unexpectedly. And for those of you who know me, Prince had an enormous impact on my life and still does. And, that day, my wife called me and told me the news first before I heard it from anywhere else. And I went home and just didn't really know what to do with myself. So I kind of put the signal out on Facebook and just said, hey, I'm sure everybody's hearing about the terrible loss we had today. I'm going to unlock my back door, and anybody who wants to is welcome to come and go. I'm just going to spin some Prince records. If you get a chance, stop by. And of course, the day was filled with incredible sadness, but we ended up having almost a celebration of life of sorts, where, it was like a visitation or a wake, if you will, where people would literally just come and go, no text, no call, no nothing. I would just hear the door open and somebody would come in, and, of course there would be hugs and tears and whatnot, but ultimately we would end up spinning maybe their favorite Prince song or our favorite Prince song or something along those lines. And this went on for hours. Sometimes we'd have 2 or 3 people here. Sometimes we'd have 5 people here. Sometimes it'd be down to just me. I got a text at about 11 o'clock at night, said, hey, are you still going? Cause I need to come by. And, that was something that was such a huge, bright spot, and that the artist was still able to give us in such a dark time. So that's something that I focus on and absolutely helped and continues to help with the healing. As far as a very personal memory of mine would have been when my own mother passed away. I got all of my love of music from my mom. It was something she was very passionate about, and she was very passionate about her favorites, such the same as I am. And one of her all-time favorite artists was Elvis Presley, of course. And she absolutely loved the song The Wonder of You. And it very much became a thing for the two of us where I would sing it for her at karaoke. We would sing it together in the car. It was very much how the two of us felt about each other. And she was always there for me. I was always there for her. We supported each other and whatnot. So you would imagine that would be a sad or a hard thing after her passing. But that song has really turned into a big celebration. And again, aids in the healing all of the time. Every single time a close friend of mine says, hey, let's play The Wonder of You. It's kind of the unofficial, we're all going to remember Mom, and we're going to talk about, the joy and the love and the crazy stories. If you know me personally, you've probably heard the crazy stories. We were actually just talking about them last night in Facebook Messenger. But, that song, instead of turning into sadness, helps with healing, and it continues to help with healing. And every single time that song plays over the course of 3.5 or 4 minutes or whatever it is, it immediately springboards everybody into the joy and the good memories and what they take away from the positives of their time, as opposed to dwelling on my mother passing away. So that's another example that just some things I wanted to share from me personally, and how I've been able to turn some things around from a tragedy into a positive via music. So how does all of this relate to the world situation as a whole today? When you look at all of the devastation and the negatives in the news, and seemingly everywhere you look, you see so much negative about what's going on all over the world today. What are the positive things that you're seeing? What was when we look at the tragedy that occurred in Italy, what was the very first positive news that we all saw coming out of Italy? It was music. It was people gathered on their balconies, together but apart, but united through music, singing in unison together and finding joy in the dire situation that they were in by way of music. What are the viral videos that we're seeing all over? Chances are, if someone has sent you a video recently in the past week that has something to do with the current situation, it's someone of, people of all ages singing together in couples and groups over Skype, any way they can, and giving themselves that 30-second, 3-minute, 4-minute reprieve from everything that's going on through the power of music. Seemingly every musician and artist are doing live streams on their social media, on TV, on the radio. They're trying to share with you the ability to take your mind off of things for, again, 3, 4, 5 minutes, or however long these live streams are going. And it's all, again, through that power of music and that power of connection. when you see things that are being passed around online right now, like the tributes to the first responders, the essential workers, the doctors, the nurses, the true heroes in the situation that we're in right now, it's all being done with music. We're not even beginning to think about how we're going to heal from this yet, but music is acting as a Band-Aid. It's helping us get over these humps and, again, giving that encouragement that's so needed to the people who are on the front lines, who have to still be out in public because they're taking care of us, because this is what they trained to do. And music is the thing that's giving them that encouragement and the push and a way for all of us to show our appreciation. With so much changing currently, we need some things to stay constant. Music is that constant. As I mentioned before, technology is on our side in this one. We have a way to access nearly every single song we can think of available to us at all times. So if you're feeling isolated and down and looking for some hope, bring up a song that brings back great memories of an artist or your friend or a loved one. Turn around and share that song back to the artist, to your friend, to your loved one. Get on any number of video conferencing apps that are available now, or social media or anything. Tell your friend the story that you remember about them and that song, or the time you saw that artist in concert, or write even a note to the artist and say how much that song means to you and how it put a smile on your face, or anything you can do, again, to help you through that time. I assure you, it's not going to heal the whole situation right now, but it's going to heal you bit by little bit. And I really think that that's what we all need to focus on. So when we say the healing power of music, and again, I'm so thankful that Michelle gave this idea, because while this is a completely different episode than we normally would do, with just me here, the format's different. I think the message is very important, and I think everyone needs to remember that we very much have a very, very powerful tool available to us all the time to cause positive change, and that tool is music. So please, by all means, like I said before, don't hesitate. If you'd like to join into the live streams on Facebook, shoot me that Facebook request, maybe a quick note just saying, hey, you listen to the show and you want to join in, and I'll be more than happy to prove it, and we'll get you involved in those spins. Or do that on your own. Get on some streaming service. Like I say, there's an abundance of streaming apps right now, and facial conferencing app. Whenever you hear a song and it reminds you of the time that you and your friends, we all can't go out to the bar right now. We can't go to the casino. We can't, there's no concerts happening in person, but all of us have these great memories, and they all are tied into music. Call your friend, text your friend, surprise them with a, FaceTime or something along those lines, and talk about that, and share that. Blast that song in the background. Do a silly dance to put a smile on their face, whatever. Really, really use that enormous and endlessly giving tool that we have of music to help with the healing bit by little bit until we all get back to where we can share these experiences in person. We can continually use this tool as a stopgap to get through it. In closing, I want to remind everyone, stay home, stay safe. As I said before, feel free to join me on Facebook for these spins. As of next week, Michelle and Kyle will return remote, and we will, I promise you, discuss music and film, TV, biopics, soundtracks, musicals, all that stuff. Going forward, I'm going to reach out to artists and friends and family and get some more folks involved, since we'll be able to do that now. All three of us truly appreciate any time and energy anyone puts into listening to our show. And if you think you know someone who really needs to hear this message, by all means, share this episode with them. I do not mean that in any sort of shameless promotion way. I just mean I want people to really realize what is available to them and ways that they can help themselves through this current situation. We always say this at the end of every episode, and if you've listened to what I've said so far, you know that I truly believe it. Without music, life would be a mistake. Can't wait to talk to everybody again next week. We'll see you.